Hey guys, and welcome to the channel. Today we'll be looking at Omega Railmaster. If you like this video, please subscribe below and give it a thumbs up. Check out my other videos on the Omega Holy Trinity of sport watches, including the Omega Speedmaster and Omega Seamaster 300. But today we'll be focusing on the Railmaster. Omega released back in 1957 three watches to compete with Rolex for a demand in sport watches. They released the Omega Speedmaster, which was made for race car drivers, the Omega Seamaster 300, which were for recreational and professional divers, and the Omega Railmaster, which was for professionals that would be in a high magnetic field, such as engineering. The Railmaster was Omega's first attempt at an anti-magnetic watch and had 1000 Gauss, G-A-U-S-S, of anti-magnetic properties, and this was reference CK2914. Today we have reference 135.004, which came out in the 60s, had a specially designed case that allowed it to have these anti-magnetic properties. Now the Omega Railmaster has 15,000 Gauss, or 15 times anti-magnetic features. Omega came out with two releases this Baselworld, including a re-edition of the 1957 CK2914, as well as bringing out a 40mm new interpretation of the Railmaster. This Railmaster has a case that's approximately 38 to 39 millimeters with a lug width of approximately 19 millimeters. That is equal to that seen on the Speedmaster to the right and the Seamaster 300 to the left. There are several versions of the Railmasters which are considered to be prototypes that were produced from 1952 onwards and had engravings of 2777 on their case backs. The Railmaster, as the name implies, was also used for the railroad industry. These were specific dials that were approved to be used railroad conductors in the early 1960s. They typically had the word automatic written on the dial and used a different Omega caliber. This particular Railmaster was the last of the trilogy that I did get. I obtained the Speedmaster and Seamaster first. This Railmaster has a tritium dial with tritium lume on the batten hands as well. This is compared to the Seamaster 300, which has a radium dial, and the Omega Speedmaster has a tritium dial as well. We can see the batten hands compared to the small arrow hand of the Seamaster 300 and the batten hands of the Speedmaster, which are replacements and have Superluminova. This Railmaster has a lollipop, smooth sweeping seconds hands, which may have not been correct. Vast majorities of Railmasters have just a straight seconds hand sweeping, like the Omega Seamaster 300, but there is some debate on this. The hands of the CK2914 had the broad arrow hour hand, which was subsequently replaced in subsequent iterations to either Dauphine hands or batten hands, as we can see on this example. This Railmaster has a bracelet that is vintage, likely from the early 1970s. A correct bracelet would have the markings 7077 or 7912 with number 6 end links. The dial for the Railmaster was also used because it was anti-magnetic. The thickness of the dial is approximately 1 millimeters thick, as to the usual 0.4 millimeters. This had luminescent markers, which are tritium. The 12369 dial is quite appealing to me. I like the symmetry, and I do not need a date window, especially on my vintage watches. I have my iPhone to tell me the date. Tonight, while we are reviewing this piece, we are also drinking some wine, and a shout out to Ferguson Vineyards. And I like this one because it comes from Washington, which is now beginning to get known for its wine. To the left, we see the case back. It should have engraved 135.004-63. And to the right, we see the anti-magnetic strip. The anti-magnetic case for the Railmaster can withstand up to 1,000 Gauss and is also water resistant to about 200 feet. The case back of these watches usually has Railmaster and the hippocampus logo, which this one does. The movement is a hand-wound Omega caliber. This one here today is a caliber 283, which was typically used in watches in the early 1950s by Omega. With a 135.004, a caliber 285 or 286 would probably be more appropriate. These were all known as Omega's 30mm movement references. They were hand-wound movements with 17 joules and roughly 2 days power reserve. The width of these movements are approximately 5.1 millimeters. These have some shockproof abilities and of course are anti-magnetic. The balance spring, which is what's moving in the picture, can be pulled and distorted if exposed to a magnetic field. This will alter the beat frequency and thus the accuracy of the time. Some of the railroad Railmasters used an automatic caliber, which is either caliber 550 or caliber 552. The Railmaster wears quite nicely. 38 to 39 millimeters is a quite nice diameter for my 6-inch wrist. I like the appearance of a mineral crystal and the black dial. What drew me to this piece was the red lume of the batten hands compared to the contrast of the tritium hour markers. I like wearing this on a bracelet, but I also enjoy wearing it on a strap as well. I think that's it for today, guys. Thank you for tuning in. If you have questions, please leave them in the comment sections below. And thanks again.